Yeah, when you get a 4x8 sheet of 3/16 metal, they give it to you in a sheet. Pretty hard to deal with in a 4x8 sheet. It's heavy as hell. And when you got the oxyacetylene, comes in handy. I cut that in half. Now you can just roll it like a wheel, corner to corner, just roll it, move it, whatever you want. But didn't have the oxyacetylene, you couldn't cut it. You can cut it with a grinder, but it's really not designed to make a 4-foot cut. That's a long cut for a grinder to make. Not to mention, it just tears up the wheel. The wheels, it's hard for that wheel to handle it. They're not really designed for that, but you make long cuts with oxyacetylene. Let's just recap on setting up your oxyacetylene torches. Go to your tanks and charge the system looking for leaks. You'll know if you have a leak because the gauges will drop off. If no leaks, turn acetylene tank on first. And when you're turning the bottles on, stand clear of the gauges and the regulator. Stand to one side so that nothing can hit you should there be an explosion. Can you imagine this T-handle here? Flying right into your chest at 2,000 psi on the high pressure side, like the oxygen bottle, or on the low side at 300 psi on the low pressure side, like the acetylene bottle. Yeah. Those numbers tell me that the injury could be fatal. And an exploded gauge into my face would definitely not be good for my makeup, as in genetic makeup. So you turn your acetylene tank on a half a turn. That's all it needs. If there's a problem, fire, whatever, you can reach over there quickly and turn that fuel off. The oxygen ain't gonna bother you. So you turn it on, you set your gauge, about 5 pounds. If you want working pressure, just open the valves on the torch handle and that'll give you the working pressure, but just setting it statically, it's fine for 99% of all things. Then you can turn your oxygen bottle on. You open the oxygen bottle, that valve, all the way to the top. it seals on the bottom and it seals on the top. So you don't have to crank the crap out of it, just snug it. And set your gauge to anywhere from 20 to 30. Some people use 25. I personally use 20. Your torch handle, the gas feed and the handle, they've got three valves on them. This is the acetylene valve. We want this closed. This is the oxygen valve. We want that fully open. And over here on the cutting head is our oxygen valve. And what we're going to do, we want that fully closed because we're going to control the oxygen from this valve up here. Okay, you're going to turn on the acetylene valve on the torch head and ignite it. And you'll see lots of carbon coming off trailing off the flame. Just turn it up, get rid of that. And then you're going to bring in the oxygen. And you just bring it in slow. And you get those blue tips into a nice cone. And then, press the handle, because you got to release the cutting part of it, and get those into a nice cone when that handle's depressed. And then you get down to your metal. Well, you want those blue tips about 1/8 of an inch above the metal. You'll figure it out. Some people like it closer. Some, whatever works for you is going to work, and that's the way it's going to be. So after you finish cutting, you turn the acetylene valve off on the gas supply line to the cutting head, and then the oxygen will be flowing still, right? Well, that blows out the flame, and it's just a good safety measure. So it's completely blown off. Then turn that off, and while you're cutting your metal, a couple of things you got to be mindful of. A is the position of your hoses. Like, are they getting burned? Is the falling slag burning them, or are they being crushed by anything that fell over in the shop? Anything, make sure that part of it's good. And B, that the fall of the piece that you are cutting is not going to damage your feet. You can burn your feet. That metal's coming off there. It's hot. And if you're not mindful where your feet are, you're going to get them burned. So, then all there's left to do is to, clean, just get all the gas and oxygen out of the lines going back to the tank. So you just turn the torch head on, one for acetylene, and then the gauges will go. You've already turned the tank off, and the gauges will drop to 0 on both tanks, and then you're good to go. Just a word about eye protection. You have to use a number 5 shield, and I like this particular setup here. It's a full face shield, number 5 shield. It's full face. It goes on your head like a welding helmet does. And why I like it is because I can wear safety glasses underneath it should something fly up. The other methods aren't so nice. This is a very comfortable method. It offers the best protection, and Just really, really user friendly. And it's a plus having those safety glasses on, just in case, you know. I only have eyes for you could never be true if something happened to your eyes. And lastly, a word about transporting bottles. There was a guy on the job site one time. For whatever reason, he had a bottle of acetylene. I guess he was taking it home to his own shop at home or something. Anyway, he put it in his truck all day. And then he's walking off the job site, walking over to his truck. Hits a key fob to unlock the doors. Kaboom! There's a leak on the acetylene tank. He didn't know about it on the bottle. And the thing exploded. It didn't hurt anybody. His truck was never quite the same. In fact, we never saw that truck ever again. But just don't put them in the trunk of your car. What I usually do is I just put them in the front seat, half on the floor, and then lean in on the passenger seat. You know, best way is in a pickup, really, because you're protected against that with the back window and all, which isn't much protection if one of those suckers goes off. But anyway, yeah, just be mindful. Some bottles you've got to stand up for as long as you had them lying down or lying over. You just got to be careful. But it's no to put them in your trunk. Really, you know, not very good. If you ever go to a welding shop to pick up anything, they always got pictures of people that had a problem. Man, those vehicles are a mess. And finally, lastly, once you're going to put your tanks away and you're done, do this. That'll relieve the pressure off of the regulator when you turn it back on. Now you'll have to wind those back down to set your limits, 20, 25, whatever, because this is on the oxygen side. But it saves the regulator over time and makes everything last longer, and there's no surprises. Because there's no gas. When you turn that bottle on, you're only going to get gas on the high side, and then you'll have to wind that down to get the gas to the torch. So, yeah.